The armory carried the heavy scent of oil and cold metal, a quiet place where weapons waited patiently for the hands that would awaken them. She was assigned there to clean rifles, inspect magazines, and record serial numbers. To the soldiers who passed by, she was invisible. Just another quiet woman in fatigues, stacking ammo crates and wiping lenses she was never expected to use. No one asked about her history. No one noticed the confidence in her grip or the way every piece of steel seemed to respond to her touch. That anonymity shattered one humid afternoon when a squad of special forces troops marched in after a brutal training run. Dust clung to their uniforms, sweat darkened their collars, and their laughter filled the room with the careless bravado of men who thought they had already proven themselves. Leading them was Sergeant Cole Maddox, a sniper whose name carried weight through every hallway on the base. He was famous for record-breaking shots and impossible kills, and he wore that reputation like armor as the soldiers swapped stories. She kept working on a massive .50 caliber sniper rifle, its barrel gleaming under the fluorescent lights. Maddox noticed the way her fingers glided over the stock, steady and sure. A crooked smile tugged at his mouth. "Ever even fired one of those?" he asked, loud enough for everyone to hear. Laughter burst out around him, sharp and mocking. She didn't look up. Silence, however, only encouraged him. "There's a ridge out there," Maddox said, stepping closer. 3.8 kilometers. That's farther than most men will ever shoot. I'll bet every stripe on my sleeve you couldn't even scratch the target." The room went still. Shot that far was considered nearly impossible. Only a handful of snipers in history had ever made anything close to it. Those names were carved into legend. She gently set the rifle down and finally spoke, her voice calm and steady. "Set it up." Some laughed harder. Others shook their heads. Maddox grinned, convinced he was about to humiliate her by the time they reached the ridge. The sun was sinking, painting the sky in gold and violet. Heat waves shimmered across the endless desert. Maddox placed a steel target, so far away it was barely visible, a tiny flicker on the horizon. Soldiers gathered behind her, placing bets and trading jokes about how fast she would fail. She lay, prone, the heavy rifle pressed against her shoulder. Her breathing slowed, her eyes steady behind the scope. The noise around her faded until only the wind and her heartbeat remained. What none of them knew was that long before she ever worked in an armory, she had grown up in harsh mountain wilderness. Her father had taught her that survival was not a skill, but a way of life. She had hunted at distances no child should ever attempt, learning to read wind, terrain, and motion until the rifle felt like part of her own body. Her finger tightened. On the trigger, she calculated wind drift, gravity, and the long seconds the bullet would travel through open air. The first shot thundered across the ridge. Dust kicked up around her. The target didn't move. Laughter erupted. "Not even close," someone said. She made a small adjustment. The second shot cracked through the air. A moment passed. Then a faint metallic ring floated back to them. The laughter died. She fired again. Another pause. Another clear, sharp clang. Silence took hold of the ridge. Round after round struck home, each impact ringing across the distance like a bell. By the time the magazine was empty, every man there was staring at her in disbelief. Maddox's grin was gone. His jaw tightened, every hit cutting deeper than any insult ever could. She stood, brushed the dust from her uniform, and walked away without a word. She didn't need to explain herself. The steel target 3,800 meters away had already spoken from that day forward. She was no longer just the armory clerk. Stories spread through the base. Some called her a ghost. Others swore she was the finest shot Special Forces had ever seen. And Sergeant Maddox never challenged her again. She had been ignored, underestimated, and dismissed. until the moment a sniper bet against her and lost everything.